It's the start of
a lot
like
of no's,
you
bro.
said. You have 3. You said 3 cameras.
Yeah. Oh, that heater is blasting.
See, I can't hear anything.
Should
That's what I'm
I
saying.
go up and kill it?
I turned it on really low, so it should be fine.
Okay.
Plus, I'm still eating.
True. Yeah, we'll officially start when you're done eating.
I mean, it's fine.
Can you
Everything's
hear me?
wrong. Yeah.
Is it loud where I
No,
have it?
I think it's
Or is
pretty
that
good.
okay?
You could bring it like the fist. It's about
like
the same.
go to like how we're talking.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Maybe,
Keep
maybe
it low.
a little further away, but also I can adjust
Okay.
it too.
Okay.
So if you're a little loud,
That's perfect.
I can turn it down. Yeah.
But no, I'd rather
That sounds good.
Hold on. Actually, off the stand might be better.
This is also, we're just kind
For
of
this.
like trying to figure out our setup and everything,
Yeah,
so it's not like no pressure.
This is all an experiment right now, because when we were talking about our podcast, we wanted to do I think 3 camera shots, 3 camera angles.
Yeah, I think originally we talked about 2.
Oh really?
I think we talked about 2.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess as long as one is
But it
on
could be
us
wrong.
and one is on the guest or something like that.
So like, is that
But-
like a fair
Yeah.
distance?
Is that
Yeah.
comfortable for you to hold?
Oh yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
I feel like Theo Vaughn,
Yeah.
like right now. It's like kind of cool.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we were talking about it because what brought all this on was a mixture of me getting this for Christmas. I asked for that for Secret Santa for our podcast. Eventually, I'll get one for each mic. Maybe. Actually, I don't even know. It depends on how we do it. Because we might do lav mics. We were going to do lav mics for this, but they weren't charged. So since we were next to the computer, we were like, fuck it, let's just hook up some microphones. So I'm still not sure how we're going to swing it. But that's part of the reason why we're doing this, is just to kind of experiment. Plus, we were talking about having like a Bible podcast where we would read sections of the Bible and just interpret it. Yeah.
No.
No.
We used to do that in Strange Seasons, and no, thank you.
Really?
I never joined. Remember the yeah, you guys always did that shit.
I don't remember that.
Always did that.
The
To where
Bible?
like Dave before practice, Dave would do. You guys would go there, yeah, and I never went to one.
I don't remember Bible things
You had
happening.
Bible study before
Yes, they did.
being practiced?
I
I don't remember
Was
that.
like
I'm
a-
not saying it didn't happen, but I
No,
don't
it
remember
definitely.
Was it like
definitely.
a serious Bible study, or
I don't know. I never went to one. But I'm telling you right now, I know Bible verses were read, and I don't know if Dante went. I know you went.
that. I must have.
I never went because Dave wouldn't be doing it by himself. But there was like a Bible thing. Yes, for sure. That is absolutely accurate.
Well, we wouldn't be doing like Sunday school or anything.
No.
We'd be like,
No.
Well, we were going to
I don't-
interpret it like as like, you know, we both grew up in the church and we both don't feel very strongly about the church now, to put it lightly. So it would be an interpretation through that lens.
I
you
feel
know what I mean?
very strongly about the church,
Yeah.
just not in a good way.
I mean, I went through
Right.
Catholic school for
Yeah, true.
many years. I was
Actually,
involved in the
when
church.
when Joelle was telling me about her schooling, it reminded me of you, because you guys went through Catholic school or private school up to like middle of high school, right? And that's
Yeah,
That's
ninth grade.
where I
that's
went.
the same thing as Dennis.
Where I went.
Yeah,
Yeah, I went from
it's a
kindergarten.
weird adjustment, right?
Kindergarten to sophomore year of high school, Catholic school, and then I switched private for the last 2. Or I mean public. I'm sorry, public. Yes, public. But yeah, what a horrible experience that was. It was horrible.
Never again. 0 out of 10. Do not recommend.
I mean, I liked aspects of the school itself, but not. I'm sure you would attest to that. Not the. I guess maybe this. The topic. I mean, this is a good topic. I mean, I guess not the what they were teaching.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they.
Then you
taught.
might need to hold that mic up a little bit.
Oh no, I know. I knew we weren't like doing, or are we doing it? Like
Yeah.
are we
Well,
doing
actually,
it?
yeah.
Or are
Let's.
we waiting for the heater?
I mean, I don't care. It's up to you, babe.
I can't hear anything, so I don't know what it sounds like.
I mean, it's rolling. The heater isn't terrible. It
I
just
could
kinda
also
goes
try noise
background.
noise gate to cut it out, possibly. But yeah, I did want to start this version off a little differently because we just kind of hopped in last time.
Yeah.
So this
we
is
can cut parts out of that, though.
yeah. This is our unnamed podcast. We're exploring the logistics of setting up a podcast. We're exploring topics,
There it
formats. Perfect. The heater's gone. I'm sure everyone appreciates that.
Freeze to fucking death.
I'm Michael Smith, co-host
I'm Michael Smith.
and fiance.
Well, I'm supposed to say my name?
Yeah.
I'm Joelle Jaw.
Joel Ja.
I
For
thought
now.
you said I am Michael Smith.
I did say that.
I
That confused me
lost
so. I was
my
like, did
mind
I?
on that? That was
did
amazing.
I fuck up?
That was amazing. Dennis Lear.
My best friend Denny.
Woo, Denny.
The old surprise visit.
Wasn't much of a surprise,
So yeah,
but kind of.
we already kind of told you what our plan and outline was for the night. Just experimenting, fooling around, being silly, maybe serious topics, leaning more toward the silly, but we do want to keep it short and sweet for editing purposes because we want to also get silly with the
Can you hear that?
editing.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's so
Sorry.
loud.
I'm so sorry. I was just picking off.
Sounds
the
like a
fuzz.
wind blowing in my ear that I've never.
Just picking
never
off the
encountered
fuzz,
before.
You know,
Whispers in the wind.
belly button fuzz. just
So
getting it out of
Denny, if you want to do a cool camera look, you're in that camera and that camera. Don't do a cool thing and try to look at this one because I already did that and it doesn't. Yeah, don't do that.
there. I just did it, so I'm not going to
Yeah,
do that. I promise.
do look at that one. Give that one a good look.
Give it the old Jim.
Hi.
So, what were you just doing?
Door dashing.
When did you start that?
I told you last time we played Magic. I told
Oh,
you
true.
I picked that up as a side gig. It's not great, but it's not horrible.
Yeah.
So anyone door dashing, like, yeah, it's fun. It's extra money.
Yeah, just cruising around.
Smoking bogues.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but like that's what
Don't
it
say
is.
that.
You literally pick up an order, you go to the place, you drop it off, and you go to the next spot.
It's
See,
a
I would-
two-play, a swing.
I would just eat all the food.
So it smells great all the time, and that's the problem. Like tonight, so if I can talk about a restaurant that's great that I've never been to, the Green Olive 2 on Delsea Drive,
Yeah.
probably one of the nicest restaurants.
The Green Olive 2, is there? Where's the first one?
I don't know if there is a first one. I don't know if they
well,
just
no, because
named it
there's
Green Olive 2.
the Black
I don't-
Olive
Black Olive
on
Brewster,
Brewster,
by where I live.
and I know I've heard of the Green Olive. I never knew where it was.
So remember the old? Oh my gosh,
is it another
Joel.
restaurant
Unfortunately, you wouldn't have been around for this one. It was
by the bowling alley?
by Rita's. Yeah, it was
Was it called Cosmopolitan?
Cosmopolitan.
Is that what it
yes, and they had riffraff. And I hate to say that, it's just people cause problems. But this one is, you know who was working there? Who I saw tonight when I picked up an order? Eddie's mom,
Genevieve?
Genevieve.
Shouldn't have said her name.
Sorry,
Probably.
sorry.
But she's a legend.
Jay.
She's a
But
legend.
she's a legend, yeah. And she was there, and she was like, I haven't seen you in so long, and blah, blah, blah. But no, yeah, what a beautiful restaurant. If you two ever want a night out in town.
I feel like if she's
Whoa,
there, then they
beautiful.
probably got something good going on because I mean,
It's beautiful.
She's great, and she's always worked at like really cool places.
They have a nice bar. They have like a dining area. They have brick oven pizzas that they're doing. I mean, it's really, really for in town. If
We're gonna
you
have to-
two
we're
are
gonna
ever
have to go
looking
there.
We
to
were
go
talking
somewhere.
about what to do for Valentine's
Yeah.
Day.
Green Olive is very
do you
nice
think that's
spot.
a good spot for
It's
it
very-
for
I mean,
Valentine's Day dinner?
I always. I mean, that was my first time in there. If not, Maplewood is always my pick.
I don't think I've ever. I know where it is. That's the one
Maplewood.
near Walmart on Delsea, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I might have been in there once.
think you two would like that one too.
Where are these on the fancy scale? They're not particularly fancy, right?
Maplewood is a little more. I mean, even the Green Olive, from what I walked into tonight, seemed
Well, okay.
nicer.
Let me
I
put-
wouldn't say fancy.
Denny, let me
I
put
wouldn't
it
say
this way:
fancy.
if I walked into either of those places with a suit, how would I feel?
Out of place.
Okay,
We
all right.
went to
I'd say jeans with like a nice button.
Lake
up.
House.
Lake House. We went to Lake House and we were dressed up and no one else was. And
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, it was.
I don't think
Like,
you
who
would
cares?
feel
No,
awkward.
it was fine, but like I do on the appropriate occasions, I want to have that fancy option if we want it.
yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we have to do that all the time. But
I don't know what you're looking for.
I feel like
in
that's a good way to
fancy in
gauge it.
town.
I feel like you're going to say Eastland.
I always think Eastland is a good call. I mean,
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you would like to eat at Eastland. I don't know what you both like to eat. I mean, what would be your preferred dish if you went out?
I feel like
Joel, I'm going to ask you
Sure.
What's your preferred dish when you go out to a restaurant? What would you pick off of the menu if they had it?
I mean, it depends on what I'm going. Like, if we were going out for a nice dinner, like my default was always like steak.
Okay.
yeah, steak or some kind of seafood probably.
You're a seafood person.
Yeah,
But he's not much of a
can't.
seafood person.
I can't.
Like, I just.
Well, you said allergic, right? Or are you not allergic?
Super not allergic. I just don't care
Oh,
for it that
okay.
much.
I thought you were
Yeah.
allergic. Okay.
No, I don't know. I feel like I can come around on some things. We cooked
we had
salmon the one night,
salmon.
but I don't think that's.
But I'm like a big like oyster sushi kind of person.
yeah.
So oyster, I know Eastland does well. Sushi, I don't know much. I don't
Sushi's
eat,
a little tough around here, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't eat much
Yeah.
sushi.
Does Julie like sushi?
She does.
Yeah.
There's that place in Millville that a lot of people go to on
What's that?
High Street. Like you just keep going straight, and it's like a little
All the way at the end, like where it
By
dead
the-
ends.
yeah, kind of. Yeah,
I feel like I've been there before.
yeah. A lot of people go there. I don't know. I don't eat sushi like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like seafood wise, so would you say salmon?
Salmon. See, the thing, I feel like my thing is that if I'm going out, I want something that I'm not really going to be making. Like, I can buy and cook a salmon at home. Lobster.
So like Red Lobster.
I'd fucking.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just joking.
Red Lobster's
I'm sorry.
closing,
Just joking.
right?
No, I just DoorDashed there the other day. No, I mean people are ordering from
You might
there.
be thinking like Arby's or something.
They were busy.
I don't. Unless something changed, I'm fairly certain Red
Oh,
Lobsters were supposed to be closing. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe not
It's
yet.
insane. That's crazy.
But
But people were ordering from there. I mean, they were busy tonight when I went by. Like the people were just going in.
yeah, probably because they like slashed their prices.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. Maybe,
Fire sale.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I could have sworn I saw a video about how they got like chewed out. Like somebody bought the franchises. I don't know. I don't know what their structure is, but like somebody basically bought Red Lobster or the assets they have or whatever, and basically just bled them dry and then just declared bankruptcy.
I mean, okay. So,
I don't know if
Alright.
that's
Could be
true,
a
or
thing.
I also could be
Dang.
mixing it up with someone else, but I don't feel like I'd mix up Red Lobster. Like, it's such a unique type of restaurant, right? Like, there's not a lot of Red Lobster-esque restaurants.
I would be afraid to eat lobster at Red Lobster.
I mean,
I'd be afraid to eat
Yeah.
anything but the biscuits, but I'm not a
Like-
seafood person also.
I don't.
I mean,
that
even
seems
door
sketchy.
dashing seafood is like weird. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like you put
Yeah.
it in a
What is
bag. I like your like for me.
Door-dashing
This is
seafood?
just recently for me because like I said, I picked this up as a side gig, and you're getting orders from Red Lobster, and then I have to drive
Just left and right.
15
Red Lobster,
minutes
left and
away
right.
to deliver it to you. Seems a little awkward, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not discrediting people like it. They want it, sure. But it is funny because you're like, okay, I don't want to cook lobster at home. Obviously, I don't want to cook lobster at home. I don't even know how to cook lobster.
I wouldn't even know
I
what
don't
to
know
do.
how to do it. Like crabs, okay, yeah, crabs I can get down with because my dad taught me that. But like lobster, it's got to be somewhat different, right?
Also, like,
to
don't
cook?
they have to be alive first before you cook? Like,
Yeah, same thing with crabs. Yeah, you have to put them on ice
I'm
so they
not-
dumb them down. You have to crack them open. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm assuming lobster is the same thing, but also lobsters are in the tank. Like usually you see them in like ShopRites or whatever, not crab, right?
Yeah.
Usually it's a lobster thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like
can
crabs
I-
are supposed to purchase alive too, but I don't. I don't
think so.
For like the freshest.
I mean, I would assume.
Meat.
But like I said, you still got to chill them so they don't pinch you, whatever it's called.
yeah, you gotta like.
And then you got to crack
them
their
in
back
ice
open.
water,
Yeah, you got to like let them.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah,
Absolutely
seafood is
not.
wild,
No,
but
thank you.
That's a good thing though that you're saying like I don't want to go out to a restaurant and cook what I can cook at home.
Yeah, that
You want
makes
something
sense.
different.
Especially for like a
Like I
special
like a
occasion.
nice steak.
Like, I don't know-
or like I said, oysters. That I'm like.
Like what kind of steak? Like do you? I mean, a filet mignon. Like I don't know. I mean, do you like a
Whatever.
nice T-bone? I mean, T-bones are kind of crazy.
Ribeye,
Ribeye. Okay.
filet, whatever.
I mean, I think that's awesome because I can't cook steaks.
Are you
and
a big steak guy? I feel like
I
I don't
love
hear you
steak.
talk about steak.
I
that
love
much.
steak, but I can't cook it properly. I think
I've never cooked
what
steak,
I
I don't
do wrong, and this is just coming from me. I'm not a chef or anything. I tend to keep things on too long. And I always think like,
do,
oh, it's
do you,
not
do you
done.
do that out of safety?
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's always a safety issue.
You have a thermometer?
I do. But the
That
problem
doesn't-
is my cook time, my rest time. The rest time is really what messes me up.
Yeah. You got to talk to Mark.
Yeah, and but it's like, yeah, would you like to cook a nice fillet at home? Of course you would. I mean, yeah, of course you would. You get seasoning also is what comes to it. How are you going to season it?
Yeah.
How do you like it? You're going to chop up that nice garlic. You're going to do the butter in
Lots
the
of
pan.
garlic.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's how you're supposed to, I guess. I don't know, but
Denny, do you mind if I pivot a little bit?
no, go ahead. You talk about what you want to talk about.
With what? Well, I liked that conversation, but I wanted to get your input on what we were talking about. Do you have any thoughts or ideas, like just stream of consciousness? Like, what comes to mind when you think like just free reign podcast, or we were talking like about like maybe a different production style, like variety show? Like, what kind of segments, even if they're short and like stupid and like silly, or things that are more serious, like what would you like to see, or like what kind of ideas come to mind?
I think it's weird what people do now for podcasts because everyone has them.
Yeah.
It's this is going to sound stupid, and I know a lot of people are going to say this is stupid. It's almost like Blockbuster. You can walk into a virtual tour of what people are talking about and rent it, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Does that sound stupid? But like,
I don't think it's stupid.
I don't know if I know exactly what you mean.
so. Like I can listen to an Always Sunny podcast based off of their episodes. I can listen to just people talking about their lives and their kids. I can talk like it almost kind of goes towards what categories you're walking into.
I think there's a massive difference.
you kind of
because-
like stop in and you're like, oh,
Right.
this is what I interests me for.
I'm gonna pick that out
Yeah,
real quick.
yeah.
So that's like my brain goes to like an old school like Blockbuster vibe.
But
of
there's a
I can
massive
go through so
difference,
many.
like in the investment from both sides, right? Like what was in Blockbuster? They were movies. How much does it cost to make a movie versus how much does it cost to make a podcast?
Well, there wasn't
And
only movies. There
the
was
other-
video
but
games.
there's
There
another-
was
that's fair.
candy. There was this. There was. I mean, there was a whole bunch of things you could do.
It was
Good candy.
It was a whole experience.
Yeah,
the bucket, you'd get the popcorn
So I
bucket.
think
with
the
all candy.
podcast is the experience of like you can fall asleep to it. You can drive to it. You can. I mean, that's I think what the Blockbuster model was. It to a certain extent, like the kids want video games. You teenagers could go and get a horror movie for the first time and rent that. You could do a comedy that was a little dirty. I don't know. It almost seems like there was the podcast is that kind of like imaginatory walking
Well,
down an aisle
it's a new,
and kind of picking
I
and
guess,
choosing.
I guess I see what you mean. It's a new iteration, but it's more
Interesting.
efficient because it's cheaper to make the
Yes.
content,
Yes.
and it's cheaper to access. And it's easier to access because you can do it from your phone. You can do it
Yes.
anywhere you are,
On the go,
instantly,
at
and
home.
most of the time it's completely free. You know, there's so
Right.
much less barrier to entry on either side of a podcast versus Blockbuster and the product that they
Well, I look
supplied.
at it, and no, and you're right, and I look at it as like in the same sense of like, okay, like even if on I don't know, your Apple Music, you're paying something a month to listen to these podcasts, right? I'm assuming you have to pay something to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Spotify, you have to
I mean,
pay something to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You're just not physically going into the store. You're just now cataloging it by like.
But there's plenty of free stuff on YouTube, and I think
Oh, yeah,
there
for
might
sure.
even be free podcasts on Spotify because I don't have a Spotify account, and I
I mean,
listen to
I don't know. I don't have
full
Spotify.
Podcasts.
I have Apple
Podcasts
Music,
on-
and I don't know if the
say something
podcasts come.
I say podcast.
Podcasts.
I might have said that.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Does anyone here have Apple Music? I have Apple Music.
I do.
I don't know if the podcasts come involved with that.
I think it's a
don't know.
separate
I have
app.
no idea.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
it's a
not-
separate
I don't
app,
really
but I don't think I
closely
pay
listen
for it.
to
I've
I
used
don't
it
know.
before.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I use it for a few different things, but like I know, like when Julie's doing like the dishes, like she's sitting there listening to a podcast off of something. I don't know what, but
It's a
just-
mystery.
it's literally just people talking about like their lives, and it's like that's interesting because you're interested in
That-
someone else's life.
Yeah, that was like one of the ideas that I had where we just sit here and talk about like what's going on.
Yeah, and
And
that,
it's actually really cool. I mean, it is cool. Yeah.
and that basically what sums up what you mentioned and what we were talking about off camera is like a vlog style thing that if
Yeah.
it's for no one else but just us, it's literally a video diary for you and I
Right.
to revisit whenever we want and just see what a random Saturday night in January 2025 was like.
Yeah.
Like that's always going to have value to me and to us.
I mean, do you
Like,
think that's not like a Blockbuster model?
I don't know.
It's like that thing of like you walk into the store and it's like, ooh.
I don't think of it that way.
But you're not walking
I get
into
what
a store.
I get what you mean.
You're kind of
It's-
cataloging.
It's more like if
on
I
a
walked
thing.
into a Blockbuster now and was like, "Oh, this is what life was like."
But like,
20
I mean,
years ago.
you look at all the things that you could walk into in that store. Just remembering back, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I could listen to this. I could watch this. I
True.
could get this video.
Yeah.
Game. Like it's just more not non-physical anymore.
I understand
Yeah.
the sentiment. Yeah.
You know,
but it,
that-
it
I
just
think that's what I'm
blows
trying
the
to say.
door
I'm not
off
saying
of it
appropriately, but
with what you have available.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and what you're capable of making on a reasonable budget. If your content is good enough, you could sit in your car with your phone, and that's your production. Like
now, you asked me like what's good podcast content. What do you think is good?
that's
content.
a little different, I guess, than what I was asking.
What
'cause
was the original question? I'm sorry.
I mean, I guess that's what I asked you, but when you ask me it back, I feel like I don't know.
I mean, that's
like,
the funny thing.
Are you
I
trying
mean,
to say like, what are you interested
like,
in
what,
listening?
I mean, I don't
to?
know. I mean, you asked me like what's good content. So like, I mean, I give examples of like I know what Julie listens to. I know like I listen to wrestling podcasts. I mean, I listen to like things I'm interested in. So like, is it?
I
don't know.
Like,
I don't know.
content is good. Any content.
think-
like
So, like,
there's
what's
gonna be
the-
people
I think
that
part
wanna
of,
see
Like
whatever.
movies,
One direction
TV shows.
One
I don't
direction
know.
we were talking about is like just going kind of like, we didn't talk about this specifically, but basically just like an unhinged TV show that like like just doesn't, almost like an Eric Andre, where it's just like there's no flow, it doesn't make any sense, it's just silly. Like we were talking about like basically our podcast episodes being nothing but homemade commercials for products that don't exist. Like that would be more of the bulk than
Just,
of
like,
the episode than
ridiculous
the actual
commercials.
content. Like we're constantly cutting our, like we could go silly that way, or it could be an ever-changing model where every episode is just totally different, like format-wise, content-wise, you know. And I think that's where we're at now, because it's almost more like an experiment.
So
Like and if nothing else,
Yeah.
it's just getting better at editing and getting like look at that. Do you see that?
I see it.
Like we know now that we need to do not that next time.
I mean, luckily no one sees that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's not seen.
That's,
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
You-
So
I mean,
That's
that-
not
I mean,
being
that's good.
documented.
OSHA
You know,
would not approve of
I mean-
that even a little bit.
You know, so then it's almost like just the everyday people talking about their lives type thing. Like I said, when Julie's doing the dishes, like that's what she's listening to, just people talking about their lives and like their kids or like whatever they did to move
It's probably
forward.
she
and
probably
everything.
just gets like
but it's like
tips.
comforting.
Yeah.
It's like
And
comforting.
we can also like just figure out like we can do a bunch of different things, and if one thing sticks or is more interesting to
Yeah.
us or to other people, like you can do more of that.
So then, may I ask a weird question? I hope it's not weird. What platforms are you going to like? Are you just going to put this on anything,
Well,
everything?
actually, that's a good question, because I was going to bring this up to you in this section.
Like, how do people listen?
I'd like to do YouTube and just throw it on Euphony Media Company.
I mean, we have the videos.
And I was
might as well
gonna
do
ask
YouTube
you
and,
if-
like Spotify, Apple Music, whatever.
Sure. Yeah, I'm open. I wasn't thinking of that, but I'm down for that. Another thing I was thinking, if we actually have some kind of regular output, maybe chopping it, and you could manage like a TikTok page,
Yeah.
you know, and you can make it as serious or as goofy as you wanted. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be.
I am a very serious person, so
Yeah.
it's probably just gonna be all business.
Super theory.
That would be so funny if like we
Yes.
had different TikTok pages for the same podcast, where like one page clips serious stuff and then another page clips from the same episodes the
Yeah.
stupid bullshit. That could be kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool too, because I think what you both are kind of leaning into is what are people relatable to, which I guess every podcast kind of does. But like, you can both talk about really your job,
Yeah.
kind of anything
Yeah. We
you
did a
go
little
through
bit,
in
and,
renovations on homes, because you own two. You rent one out. You're fixing one.
Just passed our reinspection.
Yeah,
Year
do-
one
currently
reinspection.
where you're listed. Like, you could kind of do a bunch of different things that relate to you, that relate to other people trying to even in the investment side of what you talk about the whole time.
Yeah, me and Dennis can have a Bitcoin segment where we argue.
I'm not going to do that ever again.
Why? Was I bad?
No, I was bad. I think I was the bad
No,
one
you weren't bad.
in that.
You weren't bad. I felt bad. I meant to text you the day after.
No, you
and
did.
apologize.
You texted. No, you didn't. You don't have to
texted you?
apologize ever. You texted me about what you were talking about that night. You
yeah,
never
yeah.
have to apologize.
No, and likewise.
When I say stupid things, I say stupid things because I'm not smart enough to understand the procedure moving forward. Does that make sense?
That's not true. Danny, can you pass me a Barahuski over there?
Yeah.
That's one of them special Barahuskis.
But no, I just think it's cool that you two are talking about, like, you could kind of open up the podcast to a whole bunch of different moving from state to another state is actually a big thing that a lot of people do and
that's
don't
a good
talk
idea.
about quite honestly, to pick up your life and go somewhere else and
Yeah.
change and be not change per se, but be a totally different lifestyle from what you were used to.
Evolve.
Evolve.
Well, yeah,
Yes,
she
that's
was
the
in
perfect
Philly.
word.
I mean,
So,
Philly's definitely a different
the
pace
city.
from Vineland,
Yeah.
New Jersey.
And
Yeah.
moving into the suburbs of a small South Jersey town, I think people would go, you know what? Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. And that's kind of interesting to
that
talk about for
in of
people that are
itself-
afraid to do it.
That in of
You know?
itself
Yeah,
is
that's
a
true.
good idea too. Even if we're really silly most of the time, I think like a heartfelt, like serious topic like that could help somebody that's like struggling with a tough decision.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I love that in like really silly things. Like I'm kind of blanking on specifics, but for some reason Henry's Kitchen pops into my head where occasionally,
Yeah.
actually no, a better example is Michael Scott from The Office.
Okay.
Obviously he's a silly man. And he does a lot of things the wrong way. But we've talked about this before when like his character like randomly just has like moments of like unknown brilliance. Like he doesn't realize
like
like
clarity in a
how
way.
good
Yeah.
he's doing. Like when he gives like gym advice. Like when it gives me chills thinking about it on the boat when Pam is engaged and he's like, engaged isn't married or something like that. He's like, big fucking deal.
Yeah.
And you're just like, Michael's like the best friend you could ever have.
Yeah.
But it's also
Also, he's an idiot.
Like this fucking idiot.
Like I feel like that. Like, but that change, I equate it to like music, like where a song totally pivots and it's like beat switch, like different. Like not only is the new content good and deep and helpful, but the switch itself is like interesting.
Yeah.
And like pulls you in and like you don't know if it's going to happen every episode and when it does you're just like, oh okay, they just
kind of hits you out of
Shit.
nowhere, and you're like, oh fuck.
I mean, it's going back to the Michael Scott thing, which is actually a very good way to look at it. It's like, okay, he gets serious, and then like when you see him giving good advice, it's still silly. Like when he's eating the cake, and Ryan's just like, I can't live like that, man. I don't know how you do it. You'll learn, baby. You'll learn. Like, but like, it is true.
He's
Like
wise.
he just
He's
or he
so
just
wise.
uses the wrong word or something like that.
yeah.
And
Or like he goes bippity boppity.
it's just like kind of funny. And then you go back to the music thing that you're talking about, which is another good thing you can always talk about.
Yeah.
Because it's huge in your life and in both of your lives. I mean, geez, think about that. I mean, you go from, okay, it's serious, it's not serious, it's fun, it's this, it's that. Like, music is kind of very versatile in itself to where, like, hey, you're looking to start something? Like, this is how you can kind of start doing something. This
True.
is how you can kind of, what's your goal? Like, think about the goal, where you're at, what you need to get to, like, how you just did for the podcast. Like, what's your end game here? Like, you have to start somewhere, and it's not going to be perfect starting it and keep moving it, but when you do get there, you knew, oh, that's actually what I wanted.
Yeah.
And it comes down to that. It's like your career, it's like music, it's like friendships, it's like family. You can kind of go all off on any kind of thing that you want to talk about.
Yeah, and I want to
people
leave it
would
wide
relate.
open. And like Joel said, I just want it to naturally, like maybe we fall into one format or one
Or a couple
topic,
different things, yeah.
but maybe we don't, and that's fine too. Like,
So okay, then if I had to ask you guys this, then what would be your first episode? What would the topic be? Right now, just spitballing, going off. Joel, what do you think? If you had to open up the series, what would you do?
I guess maybe who we are, where we come from, what we want to do, like our vision for it, and Yeah, just kind of like an introduction to what our.
So what would the
who we
introduction
are.
be if you had a thought on the introduction? You know, like what would you say to people to be like, hey, listen to us, episode 1?
Oh God.
I know that's a hard
pitch?
question. I know that's
Yeah, that
so
is a hard
weird.
question.
We've kind of been doing what you're saying, but we didn't get as personal, I think, as you're saying.
Right.
Which
And I
I'm
don't,
open
like,
to.
Yeah, it depends on how personal and what person.
Because, I mean,
what person?
it's tough because we really didn't box ourselves in at all. So it's hard to hone in on a thing.
Well, and that's
But-
I mean, that's.
I mean, we could just be like,
But
hey,
that's what I
like,
mean.
here we are. This is your name. This is my name. We're engaged. We're whatever. Like we're just
right. Like I
walking
know,
around.
like
I
you
don't
didn't
know.
hone in on anything. So it's like, what would
We're,
you?
quote, we're engaged, quote, we're fucking around.
No, and that.
I'm just joking.
We're really bored because we have nothing going on in our life besides being engaged and planning
that-
for a wedding.
Well, I mean,
That's what we talked
way more
about,
than
too.
what. That's way more.
Naming the podcast, we should be planning, we should be
We
wedding
should be
planning.
wed-
We should be wedding planning podcast.
Should be wedding planning.
But see,
podcast.
that's only valid for like 9 months.
Yeah.
Or
that's fair.
less.
But no, then you have everything that comes after that, which is a lot, right? So you actually have.
We should
like,
be raising our kids.
would be the
They're
life-
upstairs by themselves.
That would be the lifetime. That would be the lifetime. Like, okay, we are now married.
we have a drawer full of pocket forks up there, and they're just digging into them.
You know, we're cooking lobster now at the house. We're cooking lobster.
Can you hear him snapping up there?
You know, we have the tank, we have everything.
We should get a lobster tank.
That would be incredible, by the way. But no, it's cool because I know you guys want to be silly and you want to be serious. So like,
Yeah.
it would be really cool to see
Yeah.
like how you start your series off, like
Yeah.
how you really make the impact for people to come back for episode 2.
That's
You know, like
Yeah.
Good
how
point.
you just go boom, okay.
Yeah, we
and-
really
and-
should have
and-
a hook.
It could have a subtle underlying theme of literally what we're trying to do, which like it was one of the first things we talked about in take 1, which is like the floor of what this could be. It's trial and error. It's testing out equipment, and it's just a record for me and Joelle to look back on, in nostalgia and just sit in on us having a random night together, But what it also could be doing is kind of like you said, showing someone that wants to produce their own podcast, like what the steps are, what the barriers they'll come up against are. Like we could talk about the things that we change.
Yeah.
For instance, that. We could explain that. Denny, you want to explain that?
All right, so what I'm looking at, because I'm looking...
Camera 2?
I'm
We're gonna have to
directly
get
looking
like a
at camera
shot
2.
of this.
There's 2 steel chairs.
folding chairs.
Folding chairs. I say steel chairs because I'm a wrestling fan, by the way. They... with a
Fun
drum,
facts with Dennis.
They-
with a drum stool sitting on those, with a camera, and I guess
Sitting
that's
in
a
a
light.
ring
That's a
light.
light fixture.
Ring light.
a light
face back at you when need be. It's a beautiful concept. I mean, you won't actually see it, so that it's a good thing. No one needs to know about it.
I like them how it mirrors the lamp. The juxtaposition of the
The lamp looks
The-
way sturdier, babe.
the 3 legs.
The
You
lamp
got
is
like the 3 legs of the
is
ring light
all
and then
one
the 3
piece.
legs of the. But it's like,
Yeah, but did you see that leg, babe? That leg, babe, is
Don't worry about that leg.
it's
I mean, there's
hanging
2
on
legs.
by,
There's 2 legs
So
that
is-
don't look
by a
fantastic.
So is that
16th
one.
of an inch.
Yeah, there's 2 legs that don't
that
seem
thing-
great.
that one's less. That's like a third of a foot.
Now I'm gonna ask him.
That's so much.
I'm gonna ask
Starting
another
like
question.
A foot.
So you're
It's like
you're,
a speed bag.
you're talking about giving ways for people to do their podcast if they wanted to learn something. So how long do you think your podcast should be for people to stay in tune?
Do you mean like at the length of an episode?
Yes, like
That's
for
a
people
great
to stay.
question because my
We-
phone's about to die.
Fuck.
And we kind of wanted to keep it on the short end anyway.
Yeah.
30
I was thinking
minutes,
like
40
30,
minutes.
Yeah, at least
30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, and we were talking about that strictly from just getting 3 cameras worth of content and the audio tracks all in a folder and editing them and cutting between them. Like, it's a lot easier to manage 15, 30 minutes versus 2 hours. At
Yeah.
least with us not having any experience in doing that. I've never shot anything.
We have full-time jobs, so
Yeah.
Oh, no. And that's, you know, I
we
just
don't want to spend hours editing.
I just didn't know what the main, like, if you look at the stats of what a good podcast time frame is. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know that.
I don't. We did
I'm
zero
sure- I'm
research.
sure
Yeah, I don't know and that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Research. Thank you. On, you know, just
We know nothing.
I think podcast, like long run podcasts, do well. I think like hour and a half, 2 hours is actually like
you're talking like Joe Rogan podcasts, or
Yeah,
you're talking
Lex
like
Friedman.
those.
I mean,
I
there's-
could see that. Like, if people want to listen to a podcast when they're driving for a couple hours, like they don't want to be like, oh, here's I gotta choose like whatever, you know.
I'll choose for that reason. Like when I'm at work, like driving between jobs, I don't want to have to change the podcast.
I mean, I listen to
every
like a
5
4-hour
minutes.
podcast
I mean,
on wrestling. Listen, I go for 4-hour one.
It could
Like,
just
I don't
depend
mind.
on what it is too.
Like I said, I don't know what the
If
stats show.
if we go sillier, I think it's better to keep it shorter.
right. If we're having long conversations.
It depends, yeah. But I think in the beginning we want to keep it shorter just so it's more manageable, so we can get a better idea of like what a final product would look like.
And once we get better at like editing and figuring out like what shots we want to get and putting it together, you know, get more familiar with how to edit everything.
Yeah.
That's going to make it easier.
I've used
like we
the
can
software
do
like time, and it's good software. It's the best software. It's really good.
It's the best, maybe the best.
better than any other software.
Well, yeah. So I do unfortunately want to cut this short because at least my phone's about to die. I have no clue what's going on over there.
We have no clue what's going on.
I
over
don't
there
know
either.
what that is. So
I couldn't hear myself the whole time.
Let's
so
get final thoughts.
What? I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. This is your guys' thing. I can't tell if this is too close.
That's so close and that's so far, dude.
High in the middle. You tell me. What do you think?
No,
I mean,
you're perfect.
The beauty of it is right now there's no tracks that you need to stay on. So anything, you could say anything.
See, I love
say
that.
anything right
I think what you two are doing is very cool because, like I said, it's not every day you just see someone go like that. You know, personally, starting just this podcast. Like usually, I see people starting gaming, streaming, or like whatever they're doing, but like not sit down.
It's true. I feel like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I have an idea for a podcast," and then it kind of doesn't really happen or whatever.
Come up to
the
doing
benchmark. When me and Eric did the podcast, we learned that nobody. Well, that's not true. Most podcasts don't make it past 10 episodes.
And I think I've heard you say that before.
It's like 90% of businesses fail. It's the same kind of statistic.
Which is, you know, it is what it is.
That's why I would like to have a
made it to
few
4.
episodes that, like, get a few episodes under our belt and then release it.
Yeah. And, I mean, part of this, too, was...
you should do a segment like that, like someone fight for it. It's in the camera frame. It's the last one. Who's going to jump on the last one?
See,
right there
I have
as
to
you're
pee
talking.
too bad, and I'm too comfy
See,
right
but
now.
that's like, it's like, okay, like I'm comfortable, like, but I do want it, and I have to pee, and it's like you just put it up in that center, and then
you have half a beer left.
Yeah, but I had to just make sure I didn't have to fight for it later.
I just.
Also, you can pee into the empty cup.
Well, there's cameras everywhere. That's very inappropriate.
Well, you can go over there.
The other
Also
part
very
of this
true.
too
Or do it on
was
camera. I don't give a
testing out. I mean, that mic is fresh out of the box.
Ooh,
I bought that for
it's very sensual.
the Perfect Scene podcast.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
some of this is trial and error for that podcast, and I know it's taking forever.
No, it's fine.
But that's part of the reason why we're doing this too, because I want to test the stuff that I just got, like that mic and this stand.
It's actually like a cool thing because now Tokyo Rose is back up and playing, and it's like I can get a hold of them, and like Tokyo Rose is another good one.
Great one.
For them. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah, we can tease that a little later on. But babe, final thoughts? Anything?
I'm excited. This is fun. We had our first guest.
It's a lot of
It's
fun.
actually like a lot of fun just sitting here talking. It seems like I don't know, what have we been talking for?
Like a half hour?
It doesn't seem like a half hour.
It's 9:23.
It literally seems like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But like
This
that's
is what
what's
like
no,
good.
yeah, it's like
a lot
40
of
minutes.
times we'll sit like a lot of times we'll sit and just like watch TV, but sometimes we'll just start talking about stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah. We'll make it 5 minutes
other
into
people
an episode.
would probably like
and-
this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, and you're right. And a lot of those conversations are
Is that
about
arrogant?
are
People would love to hear us talking.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's relevant to other people that
I think
could
so, yeah.
Yeah.
relate to, like, for example, one of the first
Yeah.
things we talked about was you switching from private to public school at like the same time and like
Yeah.
the same duration that Dennis did, and that was something that was interesting for me to hear when we were talking about it. Obviously being so close to both of you guys, like I never knew that about both of you, you know, and there's a whole bunch of
Yeah.
little things like that. You know?
There's stuff that people would relate to.
People would go, yeah, like I don't like that shit either, you know. And I
Like, hell
like,
yeah, say more of that.
Hell yeah,
you
I don't
know,
like that.
Yeah, like yeah, true. Like yeah, we're gonna talk shit on something, and we want you to talk shit on it too. Like
That was my idea with the Bible podcast.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
people
yeah.
like to talk shit on anything that
Yeah.
they don't like. So like, let them talk shit. Like that's a good
hell,
podcast. Hey,
hell yeah.
talk
Amen
shit.
to that.
On that note,
Talk shit.
this has been the Strawberry Podcast.
I think it should be called just talk shit.
This has been Talk Shit. That's great, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, but then we have to talk shit all the time.
Yeah.
No,
Maybe
no,
one. We
No,
can
that's
have
kinda what
one.
necessarily
talking
because you could
shit
just talk anything. You're just talking
True.
shit.
You're talking shit.
Talking shit.
Talk.
You're
talking
talking
shit.
shit, mate.
It should be talking
Talking
shit.
Shit Podcast.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
You're just talking anything that like people would love this to fall asleep to.
Yeah.
You would just put it on and just doze off and be like, yeah, this is cool. Like,
What
dry-
kind
calming.
of shit are they going to talk about now?
Yeah.
You're just talking shit.
Who knows? The
Shit-
Talking Shit
shit
Podcast.
talking
You heard it
shit.
here first. Not that one.
Oh, I can't look at this.
No.
Wait, which one can I look
That's
Don't look at that
room.
one.
You're over
This
there.
one. This
That's a
one.
zoom.
Okay. I'm going to kill it, guys.
Kill it.
Good. Okay, I should
Alright.
do this.